Okay, guys, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Now, fasten your seatbelts. Here we go. All right, guys, I'm back. It is May 5th, and it is Tuesday, and it's 10:34 p.m. Eastern Time. All right, we are going to get into the Q posts. Q posted yesterday and today, and that's what we're going to get caught up on. Now, I didn't post last night because, well, I had a very eventful day yesterday, and yeah, let's just leave it there. Anyway, let's get into the Q post. I do have a couple people to thank, but I'll do that at the end. And let's just jump in. Hopefully we can get everything caught up tonight and get back on track again, because who knows, the way Q has been posting lately, we'll probably have a whole mess of new posts for tomorrow as well. All right. So let's get into this. We are on drop 4096. 4096. Now, I want to say this before I begin. I've had 2 videos now been removed from YouTube, and it's because of certain words and certain things that they are censoring heavily. So when we get into that part, I'll let you know, but there's certain words that I'm just not going to say. Because I really have to watch it at this point. I've had 2 videos removed, and I've been demonetized already. So I just want to be sure that, you know, I'm not doing anything to get myself kicked out. Okay, now this is called Dems deploying DARPA-funded AI-driven information warfare tool to target pro-Trump accounts. Now, I don't know about you. I don't know how much social media you're on, but I certainly feel targeted. I certainly have always felt targeted on YouTube. And, you know, I'm surprised I'm still around. Many people aren't, but do have to be careful. But it's not just YouTube. It's everywhere. You know, everywhere these accounts are being targeted. Because I guess that's the only way the Democrats think they can win, is by shutting us all up. Well, it hasn't worked so far, and I don't think it's going to work this time either. Let's take a look at this link here that Q has left us. Dems deploying DARPA-funded AI-driven information warfare tool to target pro-Trump accounts. Now, hang on here.
Exonerated based on everything I see. I've never seen anything like it. Hang on here.
There we go. Okay. An anti-Trump Democratic-aligned political action committee advised by retired Army General Stanley McChrystal is planning to deploy an information warfare tool that reportedly received initial funding from the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, DARPA, the Pentagon's secret research arm, transforming technology originally envisioned as a way to fight ISIS propaganda into a campaign platform to benefit Joe Biden. Well, he needs all the help he can get. The Washington Post first reported that the initiative, called Defeat Disinfo, will utilize artificial intelligence and network analysis to map discussion of the president's claims on social media, and then attempt to intervene by identifying the most popular counter-narratives and boosting them through a network of more than 3.4 million influencers across the country, in some cases paying users with large followings to take sides against the president. Now, of course, we know that there's also a whole army of bots out there doing the work as well, but wouldn't you say that this is interfering in an election? I would think so, because it seems like all the people that own these multimedia platforms are Democrat, and they do the bidding of their Democrat overlords. So I don't know how that can be considered fair. I don't know how that can be considered not interfering in an election. Anyway, social media guru Curtis Hauglin is heading up Defeat Disinfo, and he said he received the funding from DARPA when his work was part of an effort to combat extremism overseas. So this was developed to defeat extremism, but it's being turned on us. Why? Because we support our president. Sad. Very, very sad. And really, I just, I don't know how they get away with this. I really don't. After this article was published, the Post updated its report to clarify that Haugland was using open source technology initially incubated with funding from DARPA, the Post originally reported. The initiative is run by Chris Haugland, who received initial funding for the technology from DARPA, the Pentagon's research arm, as part of an effort to combat extremism overseas. Haugland explained in an interview with the Post that he was unhappy that top social media accounts often supported Trump and had effectively defeated the president in the recent days from claims that he had suggested Americans inject themselves with a disinfectant. If I've heard that once, I've heard that a million times, and it's not any more true now than it was when he originally didn't say it. He didn't say that. Anyway, what did Trump really say about disinfectant? The effort raised the question of whether taxpayer funds were being repurposed for political means and whether social media platforms have rules in place that could stymie Haugland's efforts if he plays along. In a statement to Fox News that was posted on social media, DARPA flatly rejected the Post's reporting and said that Haugland was apparently misrepresenting the agency's work. Haugland's claim DARPA funded the technology at the heart of his political work is grossly misleading, DARPA tweeted. He advised briefly on ways to counter ISIS online. He was not consulted to design AI or analysis tools, nor certainly anything remotely political. DARPA is strictly apolitical. Haugland has a tertiary consulting role advising an agency program on how to explore new and better ways to counter America's adversaries online. Oh, have we become America's adversaries for supporting our duly elected president? Wow. A spokesman for DARPA separately told Fox News he was not consulted for technical expertise designing artificial intelligence or network analysis tools, nor certainly any research that was remotely political. Unequivocally, DARPA funding did not help advance the technology with which Haugland now works any more than does his use of other agency technologies like the internet or mobile phone. Meanwhile, a spokesperson for Facebook told Fox News that our policies require creators and publishers to tag business partners in their branded content posts when there's an exchange of value between a creator or publisher and a business partner. Politicians and PACs who are authorized under Facebook policy entitled Ads About Social Issues, Elections, or Politics are allowed to use the site's branded content tool, the spokesperson added. The policy suggested that if Haugland paid any influencers, the arrangement would need to be disclosed. Oh, I'm sure there's lots of publishers or creators, rather, that are being paid under the table for their content. I believe it. Certainly not, well, I don't know that for a fact, but I don't think any of the Republican side is doing this, but who knows? I don't know. But I'm quite certain the Democrat side is. As part of the authorization process for as part of the authorization process for advertisers, Facebook says on its website that it confirms their ID and allows them to disclose who is responsible for the ad, which will appear on the ad itself. The ad and paid for disclaimer are placed in all ad library for 7 years, along with more information such as range of spend and impressions, as well as demographics and who saw it. After the article was published, a Twitter spokesperson told Fox News that the site doesn't have any comment on the tactics of a political consultant or similar organization, but the spokesperson did point to Twitter's platform manipulation and spam policy, adding that if we find anyone to be in violation of these rules, we'll take a range of enforcement actions. Yeah, but only if it's Republican. You know, they never do anything to the Democrats, ever. Anyway, further, the spokesperson said Twitter also has a thorough policy on automation and the use of third-party applications on our service. So I'm not going to get any more into this. because it's a long article. But let's go back and see what it is that Q is telling us here. And what he's telling us is simply this: information warfare. Imagine that, Q. And that is the kind of war that we are in. We are in a war of information, and it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. Okay. Lisa Mae Crowley said, if POTUS has no respect for McChrystal, you can bet he has dirt on him. You can bet his army of paid goons using taxpayer-funded technology to interfere in the 2020 election will not succeed. And the oppressor Lieber, Sun Q2, said, nothing to see here. Dems deploying DARPA-funded AI-driven information warfare tool to target pro-Trump accounts. More stupid bots to deal with. Yeah, as if we don't have enough. It's sad that they think that's the only way they can win. And even then they won't win. But it's sad that they have to basically cheat and manipulate. All right. Now we are on drop 4097, 4097, May 4th, yesterday. Nancy Pelosi blocking investigation into Chinese CV origins, tax money to Wuhan lab. Excuse me. All right. Now here is where I need to be careful. So let's take a look at this. All right. Exclusive. Congressman Nancy Pelosi blocking investigation into CV origins, tax money to Wuhan lab. Well, of course she would want to block that, wouldn't she? Representative Guy, and well, if you can pronounce that name, you're a better person than I am, because I'm not even going to try to butcher it. Anyway, Guy R., let's call him that, told Breitbart News this weekend that House Speaker Nancy Pelosi would rather investigate President Donald Trump again than focus on the actual origins of the CV and U.S. tax dollars that went to the Wuhan Institute of Virology, from which intelligence officials increasingly believe the virus leaked. Appearing on Breitbart News Saturday on Sirius XM 125, the Patriot channel, Mr. R. discussed his efforts to investigate tax dollars that flowed through a New York firm to the Wuhan lab, henceforth known as the lab. Don't want to say that name too many times. He said that Pelosi and House Democrats are not interested in holding the Chinese Communist Party accountable and instead want to focus their oversight efforts on politically harming President Trump, again, just like they tried and failed with the partisan impeachment last year and earlier this year. We should have an investigative body looking at these grants, but Nancy Pelosi is not going to do that, Mr. R said. So you have myself and House Republicans. I can tell you, I'm going to continue to look into these grants. I'm going to continue to look into the Department of Homeland Security as well to see what grants are going from there to China. I'm also looking at defunding the World Health Organization, and we can talk about that as well. But the bottom line of the Democrats' behavior is this: they hate this president so badly that they would rather side with the Chinese Communist Party than defend Americans and defend our spending and spend wisely and just be honest. That is their hatred for President Trump and disdain for President Trump's supporters. You know, it wouldn't matter what it was. Nancy is not going to take any time away from investigating Trump, who's got to be the cleanest man on earth, because I don't know anybody that's been investigated more than he has. And my gosh, if they could find anything, even a shred of something, but they can't make anything stick because it's not there. But they'll keep trying, and they'll keep wasting taxpayer money. I don't know what they're being paid for, quite honestly. I think they should have to pay their salary back because they've wasted it. They've wasted their time probably they've wasted their time in office all these years they've been in politics. You know, I don't know what Nancy has accomplished. I mean, look at her district. It's unbelievable. Mr. R wrote a letter this week to Secretary of Defense Mark Esper inquiring about a Pentagon grant to Echo Health Alliance, Inc., a New York firm that has a history of funding the lab of virology with subgrants from American taxpayers. The Pentagon grant the congressman was inquiring about was for research into bat-borne zoonotic diseases and their potential as weapons of mass destruction or biological weapons. While it is unclear if the grant saw U.S. taxpayer money flowing from it out to the lab, it is known that another grant that Echo Health Alliance received did partially spend U.S. tax dollars in the lab. That grant from the National Institute of Health, NIH, in particular, the National Institute of Allergies and Infectious Diseases, which is run by the now famous Dr. Anthony Fauci, saw U.S. tax dollars sent to Echo Health Alliance for researching CVs from a bat flow out to the lab in that place that is now famous. Some of the money went to other labs around the world too. An NIH official confirmed to Breitbart News last week, but the NIH was so concerned about the money in this lab in, that place, that the government notified Echo Health Alliance that it would be investigating the matter and that any funds to that particular lab that is now famous must be halted while the investigation occurred. The NIH funded Echo Health Alliance, which then in turn turned around and partially funded the Wuhan Institute of Virology. Mr. R told Breitbart News the DoD also gave Echo Health Alliance $6.5 million in a grant, and like you said, that grant was to understand bat-borne zoonotic diseases in context with weapons of mass destruction. So what I'm trying to find out is whether or not the DoD funding that went to Echo Health also went to the, that lab. We know that the NIH funding did, and we also know that all money is fungible, but I want to see if we can trace that money to the, the lab, to see how much and to what extent the DoD and American taxpayers actually funded the Institute of Virology in, that place. So, very, very interesting. Yeah, we may have, taxpayers may have funded our own demise, if you know what I mean. What is perhaps most interesting about all this is how little the Democrats on Capitol Hill seem to care about the origin of the virus or about U.S. taxpayer dollars flowing to this lab in China. Many Democrats have brushed off holding China accountable for the virus and instead intend to focus their efforts on attacking President Trump over the virus. Pelosi, whose articles of impeachment efforts against Trump failed in grand fashion this year as the U.S. Senate acquitted the president, has even launched the creation of a select committee to investigate the Trump administration's handling of the CV pandemic, a select committee that Republicans are considering boycotting. I wish that they would formulate a select committee to investigate Pelosi's dentures. That's what I wish that that would be a much better use of taxpayer money, if you ask me, because I don't want to look at her playing with her dentures. I'm just saying. I think they should get right on that. Somebody needs to form a committee to look into her dentures. All right. So the members Pelosi named to the committee last week are highly partisan Democrats. First and foremost, Pelosi named House Majority Whip Representative Jim Clyburn, the Democrat who publicly mused that the chaos of the pandemic provided Democrats an opportunity to remake America in their vision. God help us. Then she named, and he's going to be chairing it. Then she named several others directly involved in the failed effort to impeach President Trump, including House Oversight Committee Chairwoman, Representative Carolyn Maloney, and House Financial Services Committee Chairwoman, Representative Maxine Waters. Maloney and Waters chair two of the committees that were involved in the partisan impeachment inquiry of President Trump. Now, they're not, by the very people that she's naming to this, people that hate Trump and will do absolutely anything to find him guilty of anything. So, yeah, you would think that, if it was a real investigation, that she would try to have a mixture, but, well, we're talking about Pelosi. The others, House Small Business Committee Chairwoman, Nydia Velázquez, and Representative Jamie Raskin, Bill Foster, and Andy Kim all voted for impeachment as well. Raskin, as a member of the House Judiciary Committee, gained particular prominence during hearings last year. As such, Representative Kevin McCarthy, the House GOP leader, has said he does not believe Republicans will participate in the sham investigation because he sees it simply as another impeachment committee, and that's exactly what it is. It's ridiculous. All right, you know what? I'm not going to read the rest of this. I think we all know that we can see the gist of this. They're forming another committee not to look into anything except Trump's response to this virus, and Nancy Pelosi doesn't want any investigations into where money went, taxpayer money went, and whether it went to that particular lab. Yeah. Okay. Now, Q asks us the following. Why would Pelosi block origination source, rollout, investigation of COVID-19 in China? Prevent public exposure of truth? Yeah, that's exactly why. Ask yourself why. People's Republic of China, Democrat People's Republic of China, Q. And of course that's why she wants to block it. She doesn't want anybody to know where it came from definitively or who funded it and where that money came from. She doesn't want that. Of course. Of course not, rather. Okay, and here Lisa Mae Crowley comments and says, Dems don't want us looking into virus origin, money trail plus intel leads back to them. Hello, Feinstein. Harvard professor Lieber, arrested in January, has deep ties to that particular lab. They want us to believe it was accidental, DPRC, clown controlled, like North Korea. Yeah. So, yeah, basically. And here by Dio Presso Lieber says Pelosi blocking congressional investigation into source of COVID in China because she knows evidence will show that the Chinese worked with deep state to fund research into virus, and evidence will reveal the connections between communist China government and the Democrat Party. No doubt about that. Now, we are on to the next, and we are on drop 4098. 4098. Obama's parents worked on the farm, and remember, the farm is CIA. That is a euphemism for a CIA training facility, and it is called the farm. And here we've got a picture of Obama. It says renegade, noun, a person who deserts and betrays an organization, country, or set of principles. Well, nobody's more renegade than him then. Okay. And Q asks us, why did Hussein Barry choose renegade as his U.S. Secret Service code name? Define renegade, and we just did. Hussein Barry parents both fluent in Russian? Yes, they were. They both spoke Russian. How popular is Russian? People just, you go to school, you learn French here, down there, Spanish. Not a lot of people learning, Russian unless they're going into a career in politics or whatever. So Both his parents were fluent in Russian. Is Russian a common language to learn? Absolutely not. I don't know, actually, of all the schools I've gone to in my life, I don't think any of them offered Russian. Is Russian a common language to learn? No. Public career history, mom, dad. Public career history requires Russian language as a prerequisite? No. Farm work takes special skills. And of course, you're talking about the CIA. And Q is letting us know, he is intimating that Hussein's parents were CIA. I happen to believe that. And here, Lisa Mae Crowley says, don't buy his reason for choosing a renegade for a second. Mom, Ann Durham, anthropologist. Dad, Barack Obama Sr., which I don't even believe is his dad. Economist, politician, both fluent in Russian. Clowns, trained at the farm. Commie spies. POTUS knows he's a fraud. I think everybody knows he's a fraud. Well, no, I wish I could say that, but no, there's still people that just think he's wonderful. Like Don Lemon. Did you hear that guy? Oh, I'm going to have to dig that up for you guys if you haven't seen it, because he's a piece of work. Now, let's look at this from Dio Presso Liber. Hussein's parents were both double agents. They were communists, but they worked for the CIA. The truth about who Barry Soetoro is will soon be known. April 17th, Q dropped renegade photo of Hussein. Also on 4/19/19, Q repost from last year. Hussein wanted his Secret Service code name to be Renegade. Q defines what renegade means. What he was doing was planned since his childhood. His intent was to destroy this great republic. He nearly accomplished that task. Why did Hussein choose the term renegade? There is a reason, and Q is showing us how to peel back the lies of the cabal to expose humanity to truth. And that's what we are all doing. We're all doing our part. Some people have a bigger part to play than others, but that is what we are all doing. We're trying to peel back the lies and expose the other people that have not woken yet. We're trying to wake them up and expose the lies and spread the truth. All right, and now we are going on to drop 4099, still on May 4th. AG Barr, memo on balancing public safety with the preservation of civil rights. Now, this I have made bigger for us because there's no hope of you guys ever being able to see that, but it says, memorandum from the Attorney General, subject, balancing public safety with the preservation of civil rights. Many policies that would be unthinkable in regular times have become commonplace in recent weeks, and we do not want to unduly interfere with the important effects of state and local officials to protect the public. But the Constitution is not suspended in times of crisis. I love that. The Constitution is not suspended in times of crisis. We must therefore be vigilant to ensure its protections are preserved at the same time that the public is protected. I thank you for your attention to this important initiative and for your service to our country. So that is Attorney General Bill Barr I'm not sure who this memo went out to, but letting them know that, the Constitution isn't suspended just because we're in an emergency. And while, there are governors and so forth, state people operating at the state level that are trying to protect their people, they are also trampling on people's constitutional right. So Bill Barr letting them know that, look, the Constitution's not suspended. We know that you've got to balance this with keeping people safe, but yeah. All right, and Lisa Mae Crowley said Barr memo to it was to the assistant AG for civil rights and all U.S. attorneys regarding state local government officials of violating civil rights of constituents. Those who abuse their power must be challenged. State attorneys have been directed to act. Constitution is not suspended in times of crisis. I'm not sure how she knew that that was actually going to the Assistant AG for Civil Rights. But she did. Apparently, she knows things. Anyway, this by Dio Presso Liber says, this appears to be page 2 of a 2-page memorandum from AG Barr to other assistant U.S. attorneys or the U.S. attorney for each state. It appears AG Barr has instructed U.S. attorneys, speculating, to begin filing charges against state and local officials who are violating the rights of Americans by enforcing local stay at home, no work laws and ordinances, or it may be a memo reminding U.S. attorneys that they have the ability to enforce 18 U.S.C. 242 against these public officials violating Americans' rights and freedoms. And we know some of them are. I was talking to a friend about, every time you go in a store, you've got people yelling at you and this and that. And here, every store has arrows up one way, down the next. You got to follow the arrows. And if you make a mistake, you're going to get yelled at. And I had it the other day because somebody, I ran in for something, and I went down the wrong aisle, the wrong way, and the lady at the end of the aisle started yelling at me. And I had just had it. I snapped. I said, "Bite me," That's not very nice, but you get tired of just people. My gosh, like there was maybe 2 people in the entire store, her and I, and a couple store clerks. Like, I don't know, just craziness. And some of what I was getting at is I think some of these people get off on the power. They've probably never had any power in their entire life. Now they've got a little bit and it's all going to their heads. And I think that's the same with some of these state governors, really, like Michigan. Give me a break. All right, let's go on now to the next. And we are at drop 4100, meme Thomas Jefferson on tyranny versus liberty. And this is a quote by Thomas Jefferson: "When the people fear the government, there is tyranny. When the government fears the people, there is liberty." I think we need to get back to the government fearing the people. Do you think people like Pelosi fear the people? Do you think that she cares whether she gets the job done or whether she's effective in her job? Of course not. Of course not. People like that need to fear the people. They really do. All right, and let's go to the next. We are again on May 4th still, and we are on drop 4101. The enemy is constantly attacking Q in order to stall the Great Awakening from spreading. It's not working out too well for them, though, is it? Because it is spreading, and it's constantly spreading. I think probably everyone in the world, maybe not everyone in the world has heard of it, but I think it's touched almost all countries on Earth. So let's read this. Why is there an active, coordinated disinformation campaign being deployed using misleading headlines, no original source attached, tactics, and pushed in attempt to amplify direct original source attacks or push predetermined and orchestrated false claim statements of others? Think decode. Constant mainstream media attacks. Why? When does the enemy expend ammunition? For what purpose? Question what you read from every source. Use discernment. Q. And of course, when the enemy's frightened, they're going to expend their ammunition because they're going to shoot at whatever, something moves in the bush, shoot. And I think that that's where we're at, because obviously if Donald Trump was not a threat to them, or if Trump supporters were not a threat to them, or if Q was not a threat to them, I don't think we would have all this. You know, they're constantly attacking Q, the president, Trump supporters. They're attacking everything he says. They're making fun of it. They're twisting it. They're twisting it so badly that there isn't even barely a grain of truth left in it. It's unbelievable. And we've seen this all along, but it's getting worse. I've noticed it getting worse, especially with this, the virus. It's unbelievable what the lies that they're telling, out and out lies. Like the president wants to inject bleach, wants you to inject bleach. You know, give me a break. So Lisa Mae Crowley says, get a lot of DMs and see tweets, replies. She's saying she gets a lot of DMs and sees tweets, replies with clickbait, just letting you know I ain't clicking that shite. If it sounds too good to be true and info is unverified, it's likely disinfo intended to confuse and dilute truth, real news, research info, and trust your gut. Shills are in overdrive. Boy, are they ever. And this by Dio Presso Liber, there is an active and coordinated disinfo campaign deployed against patriots and anons. They want us divided and confused. If patriots are divided and confused, our ability to wake up the sheep is significantly hindered. Fake news and internet news journalists, such as the Rothschild MD, attack anons and Q decoders daily. They take what we say out of context and they blow claims out of proportion. It's a designed attack meant to weaken the morale of digital soldiers. In almost every Q analysis thread I do, there are shills posting negative comments and anti-Trump comments. They used to bother me, but now I simply ignore them. Shills like at Will Summer write hit pieces on patriots like Jordan Sather and Joe M. and lie about them. They fear you. They fear a unified group of patriots armed with truth. Use discernment and question everything. You know what the core truths are. MSM expends ammo and increases attacks when they believe something big is about to drop. Panic. You know, I mean, we're not the only ones paying attention to what Q writes. No, they know full well that Q is real. That's why they attack it. Otherwise, they would just laugh it off. They wouldn't expend the energy and the ink to write about it. I mean, really. But, yeah. Okay, and we are on to the next drop, still on May 4th. Example of the disinformation campaign against Q, false claim, no original source, Q drop. And over here, we've got this by P. Genium. Great point, Sparky, except QAnon has said none of these things. Fake news strikes again. Many others have been digging into the rumors around Hanks, possibly because of the explosion of perverts outed during the whole Epstein thing. But QAnon? Nope. And so Q is pointing to this as an example. It says, good example, see previous post. And he's talking about this post up here where he was talking about, you know, them attacking, mainstream media attacking, constant mainstream media attacks and so forth, constant shill attacks. And he is just pointing to this as an example because this person is saying, I guess he's saying that QAnon never looked into the whole Hanks thing. I'm not exactly sure what this person is saying. But I would assume that's it. And Lisa Mae Crowley said, this is the biggest slide used by them to paint the whole movement as nuts. Q answered this question on 12th December 18th and reiterated it on the 9th of July 2019. I just shake my head at those who reply with disinfo is necessary or he's not a junior anymore. Q did not stutter. Now, this is what I don't understand because she is responding here and I don't see any of that. This is the tweet And I'm just not sure, unless I missed something. And you know what? I could have. And Deoppressor Lieber says, these jokers always take the truth and twist it to make Anons and patriots look like whack jobs. Anon points out how this shill is blowing out of proportion what Q said and is simply lying. And we're going to go on to the next. We're still on May 4th, and this is drop 4103, 4103. And this is going to give us, it says sample past 30 days. Do you understand Q? And you will once we take a look at this. And they just did a search in Bing of QAnon, and this is everything that's come up. Facebook removes accounts linked to QAnon conspiracy theory. Facebook removes some QAnon pages citing inauthentic behavior. Facebook removes QAnon pages and groups for inauthentic behavior. Facebook removes QAnon pages, groups, and accounts. QAnon groups purged by Facebook ahead of 2020 election. John Ratcliffe, Trump's DNI nominee, follows QAnon. Twitter, that's disqualifying. Captured American mercenary appears to be really into QAnon. QAnon thinks this man is JFK Jr. Is he running for Congress? Facebook's latest propaganda sweep takes down QAnon linked pages. Facebook removes QAnon conspiracy accounts, VDARE accounts targeting hate speech toward Asian Americans. Facebook removes accounts associated with QAnon conspiracy theories. Facebook removes accounts, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, just all the same stuff, just on and on and on. That's all they push. QAnon devotee live streamed her trip to New York to take out Joe Biden. Well, I can assure you that that was probably a plant by the Democrats. QAnon believer arrested for trying to take out Joe Biden. Exotic fire dancer, QAnon follower, arrested near USNS Comfort with car full of knives. Right. Yeah, that wasn't a plant. No. Stripper inspired by pro-Trump QAnon conspiracy drove to New York with 18 knives to take out Biden and Hillary Clinton. So yeah, it just goes on and on and on, on and on and on. And we know QAnon has done this before, like posted and let us see how many hit pieces are out there, and just about all of them. I don't ever see. Well, the mainstream media has never said anything positive about Q. That's for sure. It says anti-vaxxers, gun nuts, and QAnon. Germany's bizarre anti-lockdown protests are uniting the fringe right and left. So there you go. And that is just an example that Q has provided us of the past 30 days. Yeah. Now, let's look at this. We are on drop 4104. 4104. Fauci knew about. Now, this is a real code word in terms of censorship. So I'm just going to call this right here the drug. I think we know what the drug is that was touted by our president. Fauci knew about the drug. In 2005, nobody needed to die because of CV. Now, I happen to believe that as well. It's, they keep touting how dangerous it is, but, most people that have lupus are on that. And, it's been around forever. I think that they would have, outlawed it if there was all these people dying from it. I've taken it. I had to because I was in Central America, and I was in the jungle. They don't call it a jungle, they call it a rainforest, but still, I was very remote and lots of mosquitoes, so I had to take it. It's an anti-malarial. So, let's take a look at what the image, first of all, because we can't see it that Now, these are all the hit pieces on the drug. No benefits, more deaths. And now this isn't the first time we've looked at this. It's been posted before. And of course, they just say more deaths, no benefit, no benefit, more deaths, no benefits, more deaths, no benefit, more deaths, no benefit. Yeah, out and out lies. So all of these are negative. Okay, and let's go back here. And we're going to look at this now. This is the next link that Q has left us, and he's asking us to reconcile these facts, which is pretty hard to do, because really everyone should have been, given this as the first go-to, really. Anyway, Dr. Anthony Fauci, whose expert advice to President Trump has resulted in the complete shutdown of the greatest economic engine in world history, has known since 2005 that the drug is an effective inhibitor of CV. How did he know this? Because of research done by the National Institute of Health, of which he is the director. In connection with the SARS outbreak caused by CV, dubbed SARS-CoV, the NIH researched the drug and concluded that it was effective at stopping the SARS-CoV in its track. The COVID-19 bug is likewise a CV labeled SARS-CoV-2. While not exactly the same virus as SARS-CoV-1, it is genetically related to it and shares 79% of its genome, as the names SARS-CoV-2 implies. They both use the same host cell receptor, which is what viruses use to gain entry to the cell and infect the victim. The Virology Journal, the official publication of Dr. Fauci's National Institute of Health, published what is now a blockbuster article on August 22nd, 2005, under the heading, "Get ready for this. The drug is a potent inhibitor of SARS-CoV infection and spread. Emphasis mine throughout. Write the researchers, we report that the drug has strong antiviral effects on SARS-CoV infection on primate cells. These inhibitory effects are observed when the cells are treated with the drug either before or after exposure to the virus, suggesting both prophylactic and therapeutic." And for those that may not know, prophylactic is something that you take to prevent something. I'm sure most of you are aware of that. This means, of course, that Dr. Fauci, pictured at right, has known for 15 years that drug and its even milder derivative, which I can't say, will not only treat a current case of CV, therapeutic, but prevent future cases, prophylactic. So it functions as both a cure and a V. In other words, it's a wonder drug for CV, said Dr. Fauci's NIH in 2005. Concentrations of 10 microunits completely abolishes SARS-CoV-2 infection, or CoV infection. Fauci's researchers add, it can effectively reduce the establishment of infection and spread. Dr. Didier Raoult, the Anthony Fauci of France, has had such spectacular success using it to treat victims that he said way back on February 25th that it's game over for CV. He and a team of researchers reported that the use of this drug administered with both, it's that combo that we've talked about before, cured 79 of 80 patients with only rare and minor adverse events. In conclusion, these researchers write, we confirm the efficacy of that drug associated with the other two drugs that go with it. It's like zinc is not a drug. Anyway, in the treatment of COVID-19 and its potential effectiveness in the early impairment of contagiousness. So I'm not going to get into this anymore, but isn't that interesting how he completely changed. From oh yeah, this is effective to no, it increases death and there's more negative effects. I don't know where he found that. Anyway, on March 23rd, Dr. Vladimir Zelenko reported that he had treated around 500 patients with that drug and had seen an astonishing 100% success. That's not the anecdotal evidence Dr. Fauci sneers at, but actual results with real patients in clinical settings. Since last Thursday, my team has treated approximately 350 patients and another 150 patients in other areas of New York with the above regimen. On the group of this group and the information provided to me by affiliated medical teams, we have had 0 deaths and 0 hospitalizations and 0 intubations. In addition, I have not heard any negative effects other than approximately 10% of patients with temporary nausea and diarrhea. I would rather have nausea and diarrhea than the virus. I'm just saying. So, said Dr. Zelenko, if you scale this nationally, the economy will rebound much quicker. The country will open again. And let me tell you a very important point. This treatment costs about $20. That's very important because you can scale that nationally. If every treatment costs $20,000, that's not so good. No. All I'm doing is repurposing old available drugs, which we know their safety profiles, and using them in a unique combination in an outpatient setting. The questions are disturbing to a spectacular degree. If Dr. Fauci has known since 2005 of the effectiveness of that drug, why hasn't it been administered immediately after people show symptoms, as Dr. Zelenko has done? Maybe then nobody would have died and nobody would have been incarcerated in place except the sick, which is who a quarantine is for in the first place. To paraphrase Jesus, it's not the symptom-free who need the drug, but the sick, and they need it at the first sign of symptoms. Well, I agree, and I'm not going to read. We've got a lot more to get through, and time's a-ticking. All right. I think we're all pretty much aware of that anyway, and what went on there with that. Now, Fauci knew the drug worked since 2005. He and everyone who pushed the BS study claiming no benefit, more death, have blood on their hands. The drug wasn't given to patients till too late and without Z-Pak and zinc. He knows the drug works as a cure and as a V. Even Hollywood knew that it worked. These clips are from a 13th July. Okay, well, I don't have that, so... July 13th episode of The Dead Zone called Plague. Dr. Fauci, you've been cued for all the wrong reasons. He knew about the cure in 2005, so why did he not recommend spreading the cure immediately? Greedy member of the deep state, Fauci is too busy pushing remdesivir. Ask yourself why that is. Could be because it's $1,000 a pill. And most people can't afford that. I can't. I don't know many people that could afford that because I don't know how many pills you need. I bet it's more than just one. So, yeah. Anyway, let's come down here to this. 4105, we are on drop 4105. Anons and Patriots winning the information warfare campaign against mainstream media, big tech, and the Democrats. Now, we've got this. Now, let me see here. Okay, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to end this at the end of the May 4th, and then I'm going to come back and do another video. I think that's what I'm going to have to do. All right, but let's continue on and finish this. Okay, DARPA, Facebook, Twitter, Google, Democrats coordinated and development of AI tool in attempt to counter your reach, now public, see previous drop, demonstrates your collective influence. Think MSM, daily attacks, losing ground, You are winning the information warfare campaign. Support will always be provided. Undisclosed methods. That is very, very true. I know just because I've been doing this since the beginning, and every now and then, I call them helper anons. You'll get a helper anon that contacts you with information or whatever, or helping you to understand something. And I think that Q has quite a few helper anons out there. That's my theory. Anyway, I bet you others that do this have come across them as well. That's why I generally, I recognize some of them. I recognize one or two, and there's one in particular that shows up on my feed a lot, and I always listen to him because I know that he's a helper anon. Okay. Q pointing out the deep state is using DARPA, Facebook, Twitter, Google to coordinate with the Democrats and develop an AI tool in an attempt to counter the reach of patriots. This is by Dio Presser Lieber, or SunQ2 on Twitter. Great person to follow. Very good decodes. Very, very knowledgeable. Anyway, we are winning the information war, patriots. This is why we do what we do as digital soldiers. Q previously linked the article discussing DARPA's development of this AI program. This is no longer a conspiracy, as the Dems and fake news claimed when Q told us what DARPA, Facebook, and Google were planning. Mainstream media attacks us and Q daily because we are winning this war. Q states support will always be provided. Undisclosed methods. I know many of you can tell a difference in the reach of your Twitter and other social media accounts now compared to last year. There are some days shadow banning is horrendous, but something changed in the months of March and April. In all likelihood, the NSA government initiated an algorithm which counteracts the Twitter suppression algorithms. I've noticed that myself with Twitter, and I've wondered about that. An example of the Q team providing support behind the scenes, I believe, is Out of the Shadows documentary. I think Crux 41507-251 and Action Director 1 would confirm this as well. I'd like to publicly thank Q team for their hard work, sacrifice, love of country, love of patriots, and support of our POTUS. I really mean this. I am extremely thankful for the Q team and what they do for our country. Your sacrifices will never be fully known, Q. And that is so true. Absolutely true. And we are now on May 5th, but I think I'm going to stop this here so that I can get this uploaded, or you guys are going to be thinking that I deserted you again tonight. So I'm going to get this uploaded, and then I will finish, in a second video, I'll finish the posts from today. All right, guys, well, that's it. And before I go, let me thank some people. The following donated via coffee: Janine, Rachel, Anon, and Gieserman. Thank you very much, guys. I appreciate it. And it keeps me doing what I do. And I do appreciate it very, very much. And picked up a new Patreon supporter, Greg of Pythagoras. Wonder if Greg is a mathematician. You know, just wondering. Anyway, thank you, Greg, and thank you, you four that donated via coffee. I appreciate it so much. So anyway, I will be back with the post for today, and that is it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. You guys take care, stay safe, and keep seeking truth. Good night, guys.